Charlie, Kirk is down. Repeat, Kirk is down. Shooter at large. Those words, crackling across police scanners on the night of September 10th, 2025, didn't just echo, they froze the nation. Every major network cut in, campus live streams flooded timelines, and Nagar, Utah shot exploded, trending faster than anything Twitter had ever seen. One bullet didn't just kill a man. It ripped a gaping hole through the country's last assumption that our political fights would stay safely rhetorical. Kirk was only 31, the founder of Turning Point USA, a firebrand famous for turning campus Q&As into theatrical spectacles. At Utah Valley University, he stepped on stage, flashing a smile for the phone lights, and took a question about gender-affirming care. 8 seconds later, a single round from a cheap Chinese hunting rifle tore through his sternum. The muzzle flash came from the Arts Building roof, 200 yards away. By the time anyone even looked up, the shooter had vanished into Provo's sprawling suburban grid. America in 2025? It was a tinderbox, a pile of bone-dry leaves just waiting for a match. Trust in elections had cratered after 2 consecutive cycles decided by razor-thin margins. Cable hosts talked about the end of the republic with the same casualness they once discussed the weather. Meanwhile, Antifa chat rooms openly glorified direct action, and on the right, the Boogaloo meme had morphed into actual weekend tactical training retreats. Just the week before Kirk died, a Quinnipiac poll found 43% of Americans thought political violence was sometimes justified, a chilling jump from 28% in 2022. We were ready to burn. By midnight, vigils and counter-vigils were already colliding head-on. In Phoenix, a Kirk supporter fired a warning shot over a line of black-clad protesters. In Portland, 2 federal courthouses were ablaze. DHS agents arrested 43 people nationwide before sunrise, most for social media threats that felt more like venting than genuine calls to arms. Yet, depending on which podcast you scrolled to, these arrests themselves became fresh evidence of state overreach, igniting even more fury. Vice President J.D. Vance, barely 8 months into his term, wasted no time, calling the assassination an attack on the heartland of American thought. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced a task force with a name straight out of Central Casting, Operation Iron Truth. Then came the slippery slope into speech policing. Employers started emailing HR lists, asking for names of workers who dared to post celebratory memes. The government, it seemed, was more interested in controlling the narrative than calming the storm. Researchers at Stanford's Internet Observatory tracked an astonishing 2.7 million new extremist posts in the 48 hours after the killing. A TikTok filter that let users superimpose crosshairs over any photo racked up 3 million impressions before the company quietly pulled it. One post, chillingly simple, read, "They started it in Utah. We finish it in their cities." It was copied to Telegram channels 1,400 times within an hour. The account? A 16-year-old in Nebraska who later told reporters, "I didn't think people would take it seriously." But they did. 72 hours later, the retaliation began. A Minneapolis coffee shop, a known haunt for progressive activists, was firebombed. Graffiti scrawled on the wall read 1342, Kirk's badge number from a brief stint as a conference camp counselor years earlier. A week after that, 2 men in Georgia were caught outside a Planned Parenthood with a nail-filled pipe bomb. Their phones showed they'd coordinated on Signal under the name Rooftop Justice. Each side pointed to the latest outrage as irrefutable proof the other had started it. Trapped in a perverse Newtonian law, every reaction spawns an equal and opposite reaction. 1 month in, pre-September politics started trending ironically on left-wing Twitter. On the right, it was genuine nostalgia. Capitol Hill staffers now run duck and cover drills, just like their parents once practiced for nuclear bombs. DHS quietly told federal agencies to vary commuting routes. a tactic borrowed straight from Northern Ireland in the 1980s. Cable panels debate whether we're witnessing the Troubles American edition, but that analogy misses a key difference. Our factions aren't concentrated in specific zip codes or churches. They live next door, swipe on the same dating apps, and wait for the algorithm to decide who shows up in their feed. History says yes, but rarely from the top down. Northern Ireland's violence only cooled after grassroots mothers' groups, business owners, and ex-combatants negotiated local ceasefires that politicians later codified. Spain's post-Franco transition worked because the public, utterly exhausted by tit-for-tat assassinations, demanded a pact before any political party was truly ready. The common ingredient? Exhaustion. People finally decide the fleeting thrill of retribution is completely outweighed by the crushing cost of perpetual fear. America isn't there yet. Every fresh headline still delivers dopamine faster than Valium. Charlie Kirk's death was never just about one man on one rooftop. It was the moment the country's collective tolerance for political fantasy violently collided with the physics of a speeding bullet. The fractures that followed were already mapped in our data, our arguments, our late-night doom scrolls. The killing simply gave everyone permission to stop pretending the cracks could hold. Whether we seal them or keep picking at the edges, we'll decide if future classes learn about September 10th, the way we once studied Fort Sumter, or whether they never hear the date at all because the textbooks couldn't agree on who fired first.